All right, here we go. In three, two.
Bottoms up, baby. Hey. Good snowy morning if you're here in Alberta. Looking out the window, it's freaking keeps coming down. Good afternoon if you're listening to this. You know, when it's not hopefully snowing in the afternoon. Or good evening if it's dark by 4 o'clock. This is This Week in Sports. I'm Josh. That's Caleb, who's the producer, and a lot has happened in this past week in the world of sports. The Blue Jays got some hardware, individual awards. The Oilers had a few. They just got off their road trip. Their last game against Winnipeg. The last two games against Winnipeg were hard fought battles. The last one was an incredible game. And also the CFL is wrapping up. The Elks I'll get into how terrible they are this year. And that, and also a couple funny things and interesting things that happened in this week in sports history. Just give you a little idea what's on the docket today. But yeah, first things first, number 97, Connor McDavid, since I last checked in on you, scored his 600th point, becoming the sixth fastest player in NHL history to do so.
Wow.
Yeah, sixth fastest player, man. The people in front of him on this list are Hall of Famers. You got Yeri Curry, also an Oiler. He did it in 419 games. McDavid, by the way, did it in 421 games. Got 600 points. Unbelievable. Mike Bossy did it in 400 games flat. Stastny did it in 394. Lemieux did it in 323 games. And then no one will ever catch Gretzky in he did it in less than 300 games. Yeah, he did it in 274 games.
Well, the game was a whole lot different back then, too, right?
Sure, but that still is just ridiculous.
Oh, for sure. No, nothing to take away from Gretzky, but just to say for Connor, if he
played back then, yeah,
yeah,
but he wouldn't be as good as he was now back then because the game was different, the equipment was different, the training was different, right?
Yeah.
That's
true. Yeah.
Yeah. No player was even close to as fast as the players are now, as they were back in the day. So, but congrats to Connor for getting 600. Yeah, and actually, the kid Stuart Skinner, our goalie, who's had some good performances, finally got his first win in his fourth career game in the NHL. In an amazing, entertaining game against Winnipeg on Thursday. It was down to the wire. It was 0-0 with like 6 minutes left in the third period. Skinner's at that point stopped like 39 shots. Hellebuck is holding it down. We had like probably like 10 to maybe 15 prime scoring chances. Hellebuck stopped them all. And then a wire of a shot to the top corner was what it took to beat Skinner. For Winnipeg, they scored, I think, with like 6 minutes left, and it was like, holy shit, that might be the game. And then Connor's like, no. He's like, here, hold my beer. And he takes off. He does the unimaginable, as he always does. Instead of deking out four players like he did against New York, he only dekes out three guys. And dekes out the goalie, top shelf over Hellebuck. Beautiful goal. One of his probably definitely top 10, maybe even top 5 best goals. But I mean, he's so young. Like, how many of these is he going to score, right? And so, anyway, so he tied it up like a minute and a half after Winnipeg took the lead. 1-1. I'm going fucking crazy. I can't believe that Connor McDavid did it in ultimate fashion like he did it against New York Rangers. The last game that was in Rogers Place, ironically. And then they went on that road trip where they went 2-3. And then the first game back since that New York Rangers unbelievable 1-4 goal, Connor puts the team on his back again, scores the equalizer late in the third. And then the crazy thing, the ironic thing is Connor McDavid, seldom does he take a penalty, but he takes a penalty with like less than a minute left in the third period. A high sticking. And to boot, it's a double minor because Buddy gets cut. So that like I think there was like 38 seconds in the third period that I'm like just on the edge of my seat. I'm like, let's just get to overtime. Let's at least just get a point. Let's just get a point. Let's get to overtime. Sure enough, we killed off the 38 seconds, and we make it to overtime. Like, whew, all right, well, I mean, there's still like 3 minutes, over 3 minutes on the power play. Whew, that could have been bad. There's still 3 minutes on the power play, and somehow, some way, we kill it off. Stuart Skinner stood on his head. He ended up with 45 saves in his first win. We were able to kill off that penalty. Connor McDavid gets out. Kill off like over 3 minutes of penalty. End up going to a shootout. And of course, who's the hero? Your captain, number 97, with the shootout winner. And that's another example of how we find a way to win, because it's such a close game. It was a goaltender's duel, and not only did we have to come from behind late in the third, we also had to kill off a crucial 4-minute penalty, double minor. And it wasn't just to anybody; it was to our best player. And our best player is unbelievable in overtime, especially, and he's sitting out for more than half of it, more than like 60% of the overtime period. So we were able to gut that one out. Very impressive, because there's a bit of a rivalry with the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, considering how the series that we had with them last year. As someone who follows the Oilers and loves the Oilers, it's hard to talk about. But there's some animosity there. No surprise. So it's nice to pull out a win like that, because they actually beat us in Winnipeg the game prior. It was a home and home. And so the fact that we were able to come back to Rogers Place and come from behind win with our freaking rookie goaltender in his fourth NHL game in his career with 45 saves, show him some love, Caleb. Yeah, so not only did he have 45 saves, he also had 2 saves in OT. I don't think he gave up a goal in OT. So, or not OT. Shootout. Why did I put OT there? Damn notes. So yeah, the Oilers played tonight against Chicago. Hockey night in Canada, 8:00. I'm sure of the 3 or 4 listeners we have, maybe the game you've already watched the game, and hopefully we have won against Chicago, because we just got to keep it rolling. We can't take a side step or a back step. Just got to keep it moving forward. So go Oil. Some other minor NHL news. I mean, as far as like how the Leafs are rolling, how the Flames are rolling, but we don't do that here. No, there's a few good Canadian teams, like really good Canadian teams, and then there's some ones that are shit in the bed. For example, Vancouver. They were chanting in Vancouver, "Fire Benning," their GM and whatnot. Like they're ruthless over there. I mean, as many Canadian hockey fans are. But I think they're like 5-11 to start the season. The Ottawa Senators, they had to postpone like 3 other games because of COVID. I think they activated 8 of their players from the COVID-19 protocol. So hopefully they can get back into action, because no one wants to see a bunch of games postponed and then the end of the season gets fucked up, or around the Olympics, right? You don't want like a logistical mess during then. So hopefully they're able to get back into action very soon. Oh yes, in other Oilers news though, I forgot about this. Darnell Nurse placed on the injured reserve list, which is not good. He's one of our best defensemen. So he'll be out for at least, I think, 10 days. Oh, and then, this is even worse news. Mike Smith, he obviously had a huge he had a setback earlier. Now he's even a longer setback, because now he's placed on the long-term injured reserve list, which I think is like 60 days or something, 40 days or something like that. Fuck. Well, I guess, I mean, that performance by Stuart Skinner, he's going to have to pull out maybe a couple more of those at least to keep us going. But, I mean, even in his previous 3 starts, Skinner's starts, he looked good. He didn't look like too shaky. especially the two previous this season. I mean, he lost both of them, but I don't think either of them were his fault. Really, it's we weren't able to give him any run support. So yeah, we called Philip Broberg and another Swedish defenseman. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Another youngster. We've seen him up here before, so they're gonna have to fill in the gap, a big gap left by Darnell Nurse. So we'll see how we react tonight against the Blackhawks. Yeah, I mean, there's some news in Calgary. I guess I got all the Calgary news just because I just talked to Amy earlier, my cousin Amy earlier this morning. I guess they're getting a Calgary Commission approved development permit for the new Flames Arena, so that might happen in the near future. Them to get started on that. I mean, Saddle Dome. I went to Saddle Dome last year, and shit. I mean, it's not as bad as their McMahon Stadium where they play football, but it's definitely no Rogers Place. Actually, not. Got a story now that it's fucking all snowy and shit outside about McMahon Stadium. Me and my boy Richard, we went down to watch the Eskimos at the time play the Stampeders in a playoff game, and it was in November. It was like right around this time, and it was like cold. It was like minus. Oh shit! Pascal Siakam got cut last night. We're just watching a replay of the NBA game, but yeah, no, we went down to Calgary to watch Eskimos and the Stampeders at McMahon Stadium in a playoff game, and it was like minus 25. I was just wearing a hoodie. It was. I've never seen such a pathetic example of a stadium in my life. I've been to high school stadiums that are better than this, and their fans are. Well, this one particular fan was kind of a piece of shit. Well, not kind of. He was a piece of shit. He was flaunting like his ring because me and my buddy Richard were cheering so hard for the Eskimos. This old dude next to us got real mad and started like kind of confronting us, and for some reason he's like, look at this Grey Cup ring, and Richard's like, get that out of my face, right? And then, believe it or not, fucking this old dude like grabs like this dude. The dude's like probably like 250, 300 pounds, like 50, 60 years old. Grabs Richard and like throws him onto the stairs and shit. And there's so many witnesses. I'm like, what the? And security comes up. And Richard always plays the card where he's like just a kid because he looks like he's like fucking 12. He's like, you're throwing around a kid? What's wrong with you, right? What are you doing? And I'm just like, what the? I was like this close to freaking socking the dude, right? But I'm like, I'm not getting kicked out. I'm not getting kicked out. This is the guy he's the one who altercated this. But here's the thing. The dude was white. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But if it happened to us, if I punched him, I would have got kicked out.
Oh, for sure.
But he didn't get kicked out.
What?
For throwing Richard.
What?
He didn't get kicked out. Fucking security. I think the cops were even there. They're like, it was even more ridiculous. They had us move to a different section. Yeah. And Buddy was able to sit. Like, it was ridiculous.
Go put this guy in the fucking geriatric section. Get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Who grabs a kid and just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Someone literally half his size.
Yeah, literally. Like maybe a third of his size. And it was just messed up. But back to why McMahon is such a garbage stadium. So it's minus 25. And I know I've been to games at Commonwealth Stadium when it's cold, right? If you want to go warm up, you go hit up the concourse, right? You go warm up. Go hit up the bathroom or something, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that here at McMahon Stadium. I go hit up the concourse. Their concourse is not heated. It's like basically outside. It's not heated at all. I'm like, what kind? Like you get a hot dog or a beer. They're all dressed in like winter gear because they're not heated back there either. They got like mittens on and shit. Yeah, man, giving you like your hot dog and whatnot.
Trying to warm up over the food heater.
Exactly, right? Over the oven. Ghetto. So I'm like freezing my ass off because all I got is like
it's not a tropical climate.
Yeah, all I got is like a long sleeve shirt on and and like a hoodie that I just bought that had the green and gold colors. I still have it because that was the only thing that I could find in Calgary that had the colors of the Eskimos because you couldn't find any Eskimos gear down there. And so I was freezing, right? So I'm like, okay, well, if they don't have heat on their garbage ass concourse, they'll at least have heat in the bathroom, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, warm up, take a piss or whatever. No heat in the bathroom.
What the heck?
Could you imagine sitting on a toilet when it's like minus 20 in there?
How does their like plumbing work?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, actually. That's a really good. So I'll never forget that how garbage the stadium was. I've literally been to high school fucking football. I don't know if you call it a stadium or whatnot, but football fields that are even like their basic stands. They have heat and whatnot underneath the stands, and the fact that like a CFL professional football team, their stadium doesn't have that is ridiculous. Because yeah, like when the games count, you're playing in November when it's freaking, when it's like this, but even colder than this. Actually, it was like freezing. Um, so yeah, back to the Saddle Dome. That thing's getting old too. I went to a game there last year, and obviously they have heat in there. But yeah, I think they need a new one. Last game I went there was actually that Battle of Alberta when Mike Smith messed up Talbot and all that craziness went off. I was there for that. I think I spoke about that on the previous podcast, but that'll be definitely a This Week in Sports in February, 100%, because that's a story that I'll tell every year. I don't give a shit, man. It's such a good story. Okay, so yeah, to the Blue Jays though. Yeah, you got to give some love. You got to give some love right now to the Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray. Dude, what a season! What a season! He's only the fourth different Blue Jay to ever win the Cy Young, which is given to the best pitcher, the most outstanding pitcher in the American League and the National League. And yeah, he's only the fourth Jay to ever, fourth different Jay, the fifth time a Jay's won it. Pat Hentgen did it in 1996. Roger Clemens did it back to back, 97, 98. Well, that's actually 3 years in a row of Blue Jays won the Cy Young. That was right before I started watching baseball because I was just a wee youngin' then. And then I remember Roy Halladay winning it in 2003. So the first time in 18 years a Blue Jays won it, Robbie Ray. And did he ever have a amazing season? It was either between him and Garrett Cole. And the funny thing is, Robbie Ray got 29 first place votes, and then you had one dweeb vote for Garrett Cole number one. There's always got to be one, right? And but yeah, he had just had an incredible season. Just looking up his stats right now for this particular year. Not his batting stats. The heck, freaking Google, eh? Yeah, I want to look at a pitcher's batting stats. That's what I'm looking at, right? Yeah, no, he had an amazing year, obviously a career year. So congrats to him. I could name his stats, but I mean, doesn't matter. He's the best. But yeah, there's the one guy that voted Garrett Cole number one and Robbie Ray second, which is weird. In MVP voting, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I think he was a shoe-in to win it. He's the AL MVP. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. came in second in voting. And shit, another Blue Jay, Marcus Semien, also. He rounded out the top three, third in voting and for the MVP. So congrats to Vlad and Marcus Semien both having career years. This is also Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s first full season in the MLB. And he was a finalist for the MVP. Like, shit, like unbelievable. But I mean, Shohei Ohtani, like, congrats to him. Like the dude pitches and he bats and he's putting up numbers. Like, it's understandable that he wins. But the NL MVP, Bryce Harper. It's his second time winning it. So congrats to him. He had a great year as well, obviously. So well, now he's a two-time winner, and he's got like one of the biggest contracts in sports. I think he signed for like 500 million. Or no, that was Trout. But yeah, like Bryce Harper. Look up his contract. It's something crazy. When he signed it, it was the biggest contract in baseball history. Bryce Harper's contract. Oh yeah, 330 million over 13 years. That averages out to what, Caleb? You mathematical genius. Divided by 13. He makes over $25 million a year to play ball.
Damn.
But we actually, speaking of big money and good players, we signed Jose Barrios to a 7-year extension. I think it was like 130. It averages out to about like 13 million a year, but it's all backloaded, and there's an opt out after 5 years, meaning the Jays can opt out after the fifth year. But we got him the trade deadline, and he was really good for us down the stretch. I seen him pitch his first game as a Blue Jay. I was in Toronto to witness it, and he threw a clinic. It was quite impressive. So glad to have him. Robbie Ray and Marcus Simeon. They both opted out of their club option, so they're in the free agent market. When I seen the interview with Robbie Ray, it didn't look like he said, I don't know if this is exactly verbatim, but he said he's enjoying the free agent process. I mean, like the bids probably just keep going up because when you're a Cy Young winner, you can just get you there's a huge raise that's associated with being the best pitcher in the game. So he deserves it. Will the Jays be able to keep him? I doubt it. But preferably, ideally, hopefully, we're able to at least sign one of the two when it comes to Robbie Ray or Marcus Simeon. But both are testing the free agent waters, so I mean, there's a chance that both of them can go to richer teams. But hopefully, we're able to sign at least one of them. But this is the start of the off season in baseball. I'm sure every time I check in, there'll be different signings, and hopefully rather than later, I'll have some good news on the Simeon and Robbie Ray front because both are amazing players. It's crazy that we had two different players in MVP voting, the top three MVP voting, Vladimir and Marcus Simeon. It's what a year. And just the fact, like I keep saying in every episode, like the fact that we didn't make the playoffs is crazy to me. And I guess before we get to this week in sports history, we'll talk a little bit about the CFL because it's the season's wrapping up. I didn't delve into it too much throughout the season. Main reason being the Elks, they fucking suck this year, man. Their last game was last night against the BC Lions, and we got destroyed like 43-10. Like what's our freaking record this year? I want to see this record. Like honestly, I think we won 2 games this year. Oh, come on, show me. Oh my God, 3-11 we went this year, and we got smoked 43-10 by a team that went 5-9 this year. Argos, Toronto Argonauts, they placed first in the East. Tiger Cats and Alouettes will be playing in the playoffs. Red Blacks are out. They have the same record as us, 3-11 in the West. The Blue Bombers, best team in the league, they went 11-2 this year. They'll have the bye week, and the Rough Riders and the Stamps. I think there's a wild card. I can't remember how it works in CFL. But the Rough Riders and Stamps will be playing. And hopefully we have a bounce back next year because 3-11 is probably like the worst record I've seen. Shit, since I've been watching football, I think, man, like heinous. And I think this actually might be the first year as an adult that I haven't went to a game this year. Yeah, but I wasn't missing much. So, but yeah, before we get to this week in sports history, got to tell you a little about. Got to shout out Cage Exteriors. If you're looking for some work done on your house, give them a shout. A great family local business. Even if you're looking for work, give Greg Johnson a call. His number is 403-971-2523. That's Greg Johnson with Cage Exteriors, 403-971-2523. Yeah, they're a great family-owned company. Great to work for. I worked for them before. Yeah, they're super chill, and they're in and around the Calgary area. But if you they have work like elsewhere and throughout Alberta, through central Alberta and whatnot. So if you're looking for work, or if you're looking for either if you're looking for work on your house, or you're looking to get working, give them a shout. Cage Exteriors, Cage with a K, cageexteriors.com. And of course, their website doesn't want to work for me right now. But yeah, check them out. Now, on this week in sports history, you'll laugh at this, Caleb. The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made his debut November 17th, 1996. So 25 years ago. Dwayne Johnson made his WWE debut as Rocky Maivia. That's how he looked.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember. I've watched a lot of like old matches and whatnot, because last year me and my boys, like we delved deep. Like we bought a bunch of old school WWE DVDs and shit and just watched them.
Yeah.
And I remember him fighting like this, completely different kind of persona. He kind of has like what do you call those stream
Like
tassels
yeah.
on his costume. They're all like blue and
You
completely
fought
different.
with those on?
No, but I think he had some on his arms,
Oh.
like kind of like the Ultimate Warrior a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember how many matches he did, but I remember seeing him like on his second match or third match, like with that. So eventually he changed, obviously, to "Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?" Becoming like my favorite wrestler. He's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's like the biggest actor in Hollywood. I mean,
He also this week said he's interested in playing James Bond.
of course he's gonna.
Yeah.
Yes, fucking right. I'm still good shit.
And the whole internet laughed at him. I think we're good.
bet.
Yeah.
Shit, we gotta figure something out here if I'm doing this. Like, gotta turn that the other way here. Yeah. So our whole operation almost went to face up right there.
Yeah.
We're good though. And that's hilarious. Can you imagine The Rock as James Bond?
No. Like he tries to do a British accent. He's just like halfway through the movie, he's like, "Oh fuck it, I'm not doing this accent no more."
Did he actually say that?
Yeah, he wanted to be.
Oh, I love how he threw his hat in the ring, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
So did Tom Holland. Said he wanted to be.
So who doesn't want to be? Right?
I know. Yeah, both of those. Somewhere in between Tom Holland and The Rock,
you could find something.
Find a good James Bond.
Yeah. We don't want to do any more. We don't want to do any spoilers, but I don't think there's going to be a James Bond for a while.
Yeah. It seems that they tied up this version.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You go watch No Time to Die, though.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about it. I love that movie.
Very good movie.
Such a good movie.
Good send off.
Good. Yeah. Also, on this week in sports history, November 19th, 2004, so 17 years ago, the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers got into a brawl with fans and one another, which is known today as Malice in the Palace. I'm sure
is that shame, just the shameful.
Well, yeah, when the players went up in the stands and start beating on fans, these loud talking, shit talking fans, which I'll admit I've been one of them.
Yeah.
Right. But I watched a documentary. There's a documentary on Netflix about this.
Yeah.
About Malice in the Palace, and holy, did this shit ever get heated, man?
Yeah.
It was like escalating throughout the game. It was escalating, right? There was past series between the teams too, right? So the teams got into it, and then the fans got into it, like the courtside fans, right? And yeah, throwing shit at the players. The players had enough. A couple of them, not even joking. I'm sure we've all seen footage of this. Fucking run up into the stands, grab a fan, just start beating. And these are professional athletes against these fat fans. Like who do you think is gonna win, right?
Twice the guy's height.
Yeah,
just a big guy coming right at you, like,
just jumping over the first couple rows. Yeah. Like, oh my god,
like they're nothing.
Oh, dude. I think after that, fans have thought twice about talking shit when they're courtside, right? But I mean, everyone says like professional athletes have to keep a certain professionalism, of course, as they should, right? They're on a huge plateau, but a human being can only take so much, right? If you get a beer thrown at you,
Yeah.
frick, man, you can only stay calm for so long.
Well, and there was a bunch of failures on a bunch of people's parts. So.
Yeah, no security.
Yeah,
Security
yeah.
was they didn't know what the frick was going on. They couldn't hold it down. Yeah, it was quite the gong show. Entertaining to watch as a bystander. There's like I said, there's a series on Netflix, a documentary about it. I'd suggest watching it because they go into it. It's like an hour-long documentary like about this particular brawl and like the lead up and the aftermath. Um, yeah, Malice in the Palace, freaking 17 years ago.
Never forget.
Never. Yeah. All right. That was this episode of This Week in Sports. Just wanted to check in on y'all and had to give Stuart Skinner give him a little love. Stuart Skinner. He's the main guy of the Oilers this week, and obviously Robbie Ray. Show him some love. Until next time, on behalf of Caleb, this is the Jackos, and this has been the newest edition of This Week in Sports. Hopefully, thanks for listening, and hopefully you listen next time. Adios.